Irish whiskey once dominated the world. At the end of the 1800s, Irish distillers controlled over 70% of the global whiskey market. Then came Prohibition, trade wars, and 2 world wars. By 1980, there were only 2 working distilleries left in all of Ireland. Today, there are 50 operational distilleries across Ireland, and the range of quality and price has exploded. You can walk into any liquor store and find Irish whiskey for $20 or $5,000. The question is, what are you actually getting for that money? And more importantly, at what point does spending more stop making sense? That is what we are breaking down today. 7 levels of Irish whiskey, from pub pours to collector's bottles, with honest analysis of whether each upgrade is actually worth it. Let's start where most people do. Number 1. Level 1, the session pours, $20 to $25. This is where 90% of Irish whiskey gets consumed. Jameson Original, Tullamore Dew, Bushmills Original, Paddy, Kilbeggan. These are the bottles behind every bar, in every airport, and at every St. Patrick's Day party you have ever attended. And here is the thing, they are good. Not complex, not memorable, but genuinely good. What makes them different from Scotch at this price? Triple distillation. Most Irish whiskey runs through copper pot stills 3 times instead of the 2 that Scottish distillers use. That extra pass strips out more harsh congeners and creates the signature smoothness Irish whiskey is known for. Jameson is a blend of single pot still and grain whiskey, aged in both bourbon and sherry casks for a minimum of 4 years. Tullamore Dew actually includes 3 whiskey types: single malt, single pot still, and single grain, making it technically more complex than Jameson, despite costing about the same. The flavor profile at this level is consistent across brands. Light honey, vanilla from bourbon barrel aging, a touch of fruit, almost no burn on the finish. These bottles are designed for mixing. Irish coffee, whiskey sours, or the classic Jameson and ginger. If you are drinking these straight, you are not doing anything wrong, but you are also not tasting what Irish whiskey can really do. Number 2. Level 2. The upgraded standards, $30 to $40. This is where things get interesting and where smart money lives. Bushmills. Black Bush costs about $32 and contains 80% single malt aged in Oloroso sherry casks for up to 8 years. Compare that to basic Bushmills, which is mostly grain whiskey aged in bourbon barrels. The sherry influence transforms the whiskey, and suddenly you get dried fruit, Christmas spice, hints of dark chocolate, and a longer finish. Power's gold label is 70% pot still whiskey, giving it more of that spicy, creamy character unique to Irish distilling. At $30, it is the best introduction to what separates Irish whiskey from the rest of the whiskey world. Jameson Black Barrel takes the standard Jameson formula and ages it in double-charred bourbon barrels. The extra char caramelizes more wood sugars, adding butterscotch and toasted oak notes you will not find in the original. Teeling small batch finishes in rum casks from Central America, adding tropical sweetness and a distinctive spice that bourbon drinkers immediately recognize and appreciate. Here is the honest truth about this tier. For daily drinking, for cocktails, for sharing with friends, these bottles often deliver better value than anything above them. The jump from level 1 to level 2 is noticeable to anyone. The jumps above this require a trained palate to appreciate fully. Number 3, Level 3. Gateway to premium from $45 to $60. This is where Irish whiskey starts demanding attention. Green Spot is the whiskey that converted me. It is a single pot still, which means it is made from a mix of malted and unmalted barley, triple distilled in copper pot stills at a single distillery. This style is unique to Ireland. No other country produces whiskey this way. The story behind Green Spot is genuinely fascinating. Mitchell & Son was a wine merchant in Dublin during the 1800s. They stored and matured whiskey in their cellar, marking different age barrels with different coloured paint spots. The Green Spot marked barrels around 7 to 10 years old. Today, it is still made to that original specification. On the nose, you get orchard fruits, green apples, pear and honey. On the palate, there is a creamy texture that coats your mouth, followed by vanilla, toasted oak, and a gentle spice. The finish lingers 30 seconds or more. Writer's Tears is another standout at this level. It is a blend of single pot still and single malt with no grain whiskey at all, bottled at 40% and aged entirely in bourbon barrels. The name comes from the idea that Irish writers would weep at the beauty of fine whiskey. It is smoother than Green Spot, lighter, more delicate. Tyrconnell single malt from the Kilbeggan distillery is only double distilled, which is unusual for Irish whiskey. That gives it more character and more flavour intensity, closer to what you would expect from a Scottish Highland malt, but with that unmistakable Irish accessibility. At this level, you are crossing from cocktail whiskey into sipping whiskey. These bottles deserve to be drunk neat or with a single ice cube. Mixing them with ginger ale would be a waste. If you're finding this content helpful, hit subscribe. I break down spirits like this every week. Now let's talk about where Irish whiskey starts to get serious. Number 4, Level 4, the Enthusiast's Choice, $60 to $80. Redbreast 12-year is the bottle that every Irish whiskey article eventually recommends, and there is a reason for that. It is the reference standard for single pot still whiskey. Made at the Middleton Distillery in County Cork, Redbreast 12 is aged in a combination of bourbon barrels and Oloroso sherry casks. The youngest whiskey in the blend is 12 years old, but much of it is older. The first thing you notice is the colour. Deep amber with copper highlights, darker than anything we have discussed so far. On the nose there is incredible complexity. Dried fruits, marzipan, toasted nuts, hints of citrus peel, and those distinctive pot still spices, cinnamon, nutmeg, and white pepper. The texture is where Redbreast separates from the competition. It is almost oily, coating your mouth in a way that lighter whiskies cannot match. The finish goes on for a full minute, evolving from sweet to spicy to a gentle warmth that settles in your chest. Yellow Spot, the older sibling of Green Spot, takes everything good about the green and ages it for 12 years in bourbon, sherry, and Malaga wine casks. That triple cask maturation adds layers of complexity: stone fruits, honey, red wine notes, fresh citrus, and a finish that seems to go on forever. This is the level where bourbon drinkers convert. If someone tells you they do not like Irish whiskey because it is too light or simple, hand them a glass of Redbreast 12. Their opinion will change by the second sip. Number 5, Level 5. Aged Excellence, $90 to $130. Now we're talking about special occasions. Redbreast 15-year takes everything good about the 12 and adds 3 more years of maturation. But time is not the only difference. The 15 uses a higher proportion of first fill sherry casks, which impart more intense dried fruit and spice character. The result is richer, more complex, and noticeably more refined. The pot still spices that were prominent in the 12 become more integrated here. The fruit notes shift from fresh to dried, raisins, figs, dates. The oak becomes more present without becoming dominant. Jameson 18-year represents the pinnacle of the Jameson range. It is aged in bourbon barrels and finished in virgin American oak, giving it a combination of sweetness and spice that is completely different from the standard offerings. At $130, it is a significant investment. But for a Jameson loyalist who wants to see what premium looks like from their favorite brand, it delivers. The honest assessment at this level: the jump from level 4 to level 5 is smaller than the jump from level 3 to level 4. You are paying for refinement, for extra years of aging, for marginally more complexity. Whether that is worth the additional $50 to $70 depends entirely on how seriously you take your whiskey. For most people, Redbreast 12 is the ceiling. Beyond this point, you are drinking for the experience, not the value. Number 6, Level 6. Ultra premium territory from $200 to $300. Redbreast 21-year is produced in extremely limited quantities and represents 21 years of aging in a combination of bourbon and sherry casks. The whiskey that emerges is profound. The color is deep mahogany. The nose fills the room with dried fruits, polished leather, old books, dark chocolate, and exotic spices. On the palate, there is an incredible balance. Every element supports every other element. Fruit, oak, spice, sweetness, all working in harmony. The finish lasts several minutes. Bushmill's 21-year is the piece de résistance from Ireland's oldest licensed distillery. Aged entirely in Oloroso sherry and bourbon casks, it is priced around $220 and it delivers rich toffee, honey, spiced fruit, and dark mocha. This is whiskey that demands contemplation. Middleton Very Rare is where Irish whiskey enters true luxury territory. Released once per year since 1984, each vintage is a unique blend of hand-selected single pot still and single grain whiskies aged 12 to 33 years. Current releases retail around $220, though older vintages fetch significantly more at auction. Middleton Very Rare is synonymous with rare craftsmanship. What do you get at this level that you do not get at level 5? Time, refinement, complexity that rewards attention, and increasingly a collector's piece that will likely appreciate in value. Is it worth it for drinking? That depends on your relationship with whiskey. If you have the budget and the palate to appreciate subtle differences, these bottles deliver experiences that cheaper whiskey cannot replicate. If you are still developing your taste, you are paying for status you cannot fully appreciate yet. Number 7. Level 7. The collector's realm. $500 and beyond. We've officially left the realm of drinking whiskey and entered the world of collecting and record-breaking investments. Redbreast 27-year-old is aged for nearly 3 decades in bourbon, sherry, and ruby port casks. At approximately $500 per bottle, it is the oldest regular production Redbreast and is bottled at cask strength of 54.6%. Every sip reveals new flavors, but at this tier, it is merely the entry point. Middleton Very Rare Silent Distillery Collection is where prices start to get genuinely absurd. Distilled at the old Middleton Distillery before it closed in 1975, these whiskies are essentially liquid ghosts. The recent Chapter 6 release, a 50-year-old single pot still, costs a staggering $60,000 per bottle. The Devil's Keep by the Craft Irish Whiskey Company takes luxury presentation to another level. This 29-year-old single malt launched at $60,000, encased in a bespoke cabinet featuring a gold-plated water pipette and obsidian whiskey stones. But the absolute pinnacle is the Emerald Isle collection. In 2024, an American collector paid $2.8 million for one of these sets, breaking the world record for the most expensive bottle of whiskey ever sold. For nearly $3 million, you get a 30-year-old single malt presented alongside a bespoke Faberge egg containing a raw, uncut emerald and a custom 22-carat gold timepiece. At this level, you are not buying whiskey. You are buying history, extreme rarity, and ultimate bragging rights. The liquid inside may be extraordinary, but whether it is thousands of times better than a $60 Redbreast 12 is genuinely debatable. If you enjoyed this, please check the link in the description to join our membership and consider subscribing to support us. See you in the next one.